Chills, thrills, and blood spills presents Werewolf Girl, the incident in the forest. Do like, share, and subscribe for more such stories in future.
Hush, I said to the wolf next to me. He looked at me with sad eyes. The next sound that came through seemed to shake the air in the forest. This was no ordinary howl. This was no ordinary creature. I looked at the three wolves next to me and flicked a finger in front. It meant run. Through the grass and trees, our footsteps crunched and our heartbeats were shot as we ran like the wind. The creature behind us loped, and I dared not look back for fear I might lose my nerve. A forest with wolves? While I was certainly excited to start my first assignment for Nat Geo, I didn't realize they would be throwing me into the deep end so quickly. 1 month in, the forest had started to feel like home, and the three wolves I had been tasked to observe more like a family. Until that night. The night that changed everything. For a couple of weeks now, there was the occasional sound of howling. Once every 10 days, and always at night. I wouldn't usually worry about it, except that every time it happened, the three wolves with me would have a terrified look on their faces. I decided to investigate the mystery by myself, so when the howling started again, I stepped out of the tent that was home for the past month. I had my camera with me at all times, as per the assignment. If I could get a picture of who or what this was, that would be an end to the mystery. For 5 minutes, I followed the trail of the sounds. Even though my three wolves looked like they would rather be anywhere else on this dark, shadowy night, they still followed me faithfully and silently. It's probably just another family of wolves' boys. I told them even as I was starting to feel a sense of unease myself. As I shone my flashlight on the ground, I could distinctly see patches of dried blood every few meters as the four of us inched closer towards the source of the howls. While it was unlikely, the thought of the blood being human was enough to get my heart racing. Then came a sound, somewhere between a snarl and a low moan, from somewhere behind me. The warm blood in my veins was now cold ice. Hush, I said to the wolf next to me. He looked at me with sad eyes. The next sound that came through seemed to shake the air in the forest. This was no ordinary howl. This was no ordinary creature. I looked at the three wolves next to me and flicked a finger in front. It meant run. Through the grass and trees, our footsteps crunched and our heartbeats were shot as we ran like the wind. The creature behind us loped, and I dared not look back for fear I might lose my nerve. For fear of making it easier for the monster, I had turned off the flashlight and relied on my wolf's sense of direction in the dark to guide us to safety. While not the best idea, I had to think on my feet, quite literally. I had been running for close to 5 minutes when I suddenly realized I couldn't feel the warm breath of wolf fur next to me. Ducking under the nearest tree I could see, I stopped for a second to catch my breath. "Boys?" I whispered, but there were no soft howls to greet me back. Instead, I heard the crunch of a footstep behind me once more, and this time, there was nowhere to run. So I kept on shuffling back quietly, careful not to make eye contact with the werewolf. All I had to do was wait it out till the first rays of the morning, which could not have been more than a couple of hours away. After what seemed like an eternity, the sun did come up. The werewolf had left long back, and I hoped my boys had found their way back to the tent safely. As I walked back, I got one last shock, which also broke my heart. Near the tent, I saw the wolves lying peacefully on the ground. They weren't sleeping, however. Flecks of dried blood covered their dark black fur, and their eyes would stay closed forever. As I went to the other end of the tent, I saw a woman on the other side of the trees. She looked very ordinary, except for the yellow light in her eyes and a tuft of hairy skin protruding from her back. Giving me an apologetic look, she slunk away. My first assignment was at an end. Lisa walked away quickly from the tent, hoping that the man hadn't seen her. She had mostly kept the transformations under control, but last night was one of the worst ones, and she felt terribly sorry for the three wolves.
This is an original story by Chills, Thrills, and Blood Spills. If you enjoyed this video, do remember to like, share, and subscribe for more such videos in future.